Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I've got a special double feature episode for you guys based on a question that I keep getting a lot. And that is, which is better, Arizona or California? And as somebody who loves both ships and has quite a bit of experience in both, I figure I could lend a little experience to that question, or at least keep in mind that everything I say is going to be based on my personal experience. Your mileage may vary. Everybody has their own play style, and different ships play differently depending on the way you play them. Keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, both of the ships that you will see during the playthrough are going to have the exact same commander and build. It is just William Sims with Paolo DeRevel, Andrew Cunningham. Fully free-to-play build, nothing crazy, right? Flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits, marksmanship, reaching out XXL, fight fire with fire. Very standard, nothing crazy about it, right? Both ships, well, the only difference is that we are going to be using the main battery traverse speed on the slot 1 for Arizona, whereas California tends to have the AA module, because it actually has AA. Putting AA module on a ship that has basically no AA doesn't really do you any good. So getting a little bit faster traverse speed is not going to be a bad thing. Now, with all of that being said, now that you guys are understanding the idea that I have here, let's look at both of these ships and prepare to see what they can do in combat. First, we have the illustrious, the infamous USS Arizona. Absolutely beautiful old school battleship. Ain't much fancy about it, right? She's just an old school battleship through and through. She is just built to get out there and slug it out. And she does that very, very well. And in the blue corner, we have California knows how to party. California knows how to party. Yeah, we have the California, Tennessee class battleship, but she's had a bit of cosmetic work done. You know how those California girls are. Gotta have the BBL, get that Brazilian butt lift, get those big old hips, make it look like you've worked out when you really haven't. But no. She's thick. She is real thick and bristling with AA all over the place. Also comes armed to the tooth with 12, 14-inch, 50 caliber main battery guns. Now both ships fire the exact same shell. However, the biggest difference between the two is that California fires the shell out of a 50 caliber gun, whereas the Arizona fires it out of a 45 caliber gun. And this leads to some interesting things that we can talk about once we get into the video. So with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so in the very first half of the video, we are going to be in the California. Now, we are top tier in the California, and we're going to try to showcase the strengths and the weaknesses of the ship. Now, I don't think anybody can question which of the two is the easier to play. I think if you're a newer player and you had to choose between California and Arizona, I think most people are going to go, well, there's faster reload on the California. The shells are a little bit faster on the California. I'm not sure that the California is actually more accurate. It could be, but it's very minimal. The two ships are very comparable. The biggest differences being is the overall AA, so the ability to defend yourself from the god-awful carriers, especially at mid-tiers. Because I'll tell you what, guys, if you've never been in a ship without AA in mid-tier battles and getting absolutely harassed by carriers, then you will just not understand what it's like to be just sailing around with absolutely no choice in the matter, right? Like, you have nothing that you can do. California is the answer to that. California's AA will keep the carrier players crying, right? Like, a carrier gets within even a little bit closer to this, other than when the Ark Royal was completely and utterly busted, okay? I had an Ark Royal when it was first released that made my California into Swiss cheese, and there was nothing I could do about it. It was obnoxious. But now, like, now that things are relatively in check, we're going to go ahead and showcase what this thing is capable of. Now, our Gepard initially gets himself into a world of trouble. We take a shot at the Donkey. Donkey's actually pretty well angled. We end up overleading him, but our destroyer, the Gepard, drops his torpedoes, and to his credit, he does end up helping get rid of a destroyer, even if he had no idea that it was there. I think this was the match. I could be wrong. But the Hatsuharu is pushing in, and we see a destroyer. We shoot a destroyer. Right, folks? Bonk. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that or not. Enemy destroyer is dead to torpedoes. Even if they weren't meant for him, he found them. It's to whom they may concern, right? Now, we get a shot off. We only get 3,400 damage, but that's still significant, right? Like, you can't say that I didn't help shoot the destroyer, right? As of right now, I'm the only one that has helped shoot the destroyer. But we don't end there, right? We take another shot. Our Gepard, unfortunately, does go down here, but we get another beautiful shot at the Hatsuharu. Now, there are 3 destroyers in this lobby, and so far we've had 2 of them on this flank. Our destroyer ends up trading with one of their destroyers and helps spot and helps get one of their destroyers severely wounded, which is huge. So, does it suck that we lose our destroyer there? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, he did what he needed to do, even if it cost him his life. I don't recommend getting all your health taken from you early. And oh my god, Donkey, calm the f down! What are you doing to me? But we know there's a destroyer coming around the corner, right? Like, we're not stupid. Right, guys? Right? We can plan ahead for this. We're in a very slow dreadnought, okay? Very slow. Yeah, I got good torp protection. But you know what? I prefer not to use the torp protection if at all possible. How do we do this? We run the f away. Well, as best we can in a ship that does 18.5 knots. But we're spotted. And you can see I'm asking for intelligence data because our destroyer right here could potentially help find the guy and help get rid of him. Fortunately for me, I fire my guns at the Donkey, and then the Hatsuharu is like, oh, he just fired his guns, it's good. We'll go ahead and shoot him. I didn't fire my rear turrets, dum-dum. Hold these for me. Wait for it. Boop. Sadness. No! What is going on? Why must I always be robbed in the worst possible way? But we have taken a significant amount of damage. But one of the things that I have showcased at this part of the match is that the California, even if it gets caught out, like we got caught twice by that enemy, you can see I go ahead and try to take a blind fire shot here, trying to anticipate where he might be. And unfortunately, we don't manage to hit him, but you miss all the shots you don't take. And once again, the little turd burglar, in all of his infinite wisdom, is like, I know I've really tried to push my luck so far in this match, so I'm just going to keep pushing my luck, because nothing could ever go wrong from constantly shooting at a full health, half health battleship from a destroyer, right? So we fire the front guns, and just in case that doesn't finish him, we fire the rear guns. And that is exactly why. Because I'm tired of leaving everybody with just enough to get away.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
So, as their second destroyer goes down, our chances of winning go up. Or at least they would if it wasn't for the fact that we lost 2 destroyers already. Now, you may have noticed that we started with an extra destroyer, and that is almost always a sign that the enemy, or that your team has a failed division. You will almost always see a failed division in a situation where one team has more destroyers than the other. That is almost always the case. What do I mean? Oh my God! California knows how to party indeed! West Virginia! I'm sorry! That's what happens when you get caught broadside in something that doesn't have the thickest hips on the planet. And the person shooting at you has 50 caliber armor piercing. I know what you're saying, Spartan. There's no such thing as 50 caliber armor piercing when it comes to ships. 50 caliber refers to the gun length. I know, but we have 50 caliber guns and we're shooting armor piercing rounds. Yeet goes the West Virginia. Bet you that West Virginia was going, man, I wish I had thick hips. Just hold out a little longer. Oh, wait, it's too late. Now, Fuso, of all things, comes out full broadside. Oh, look, Arizona! We get to test who's going to be better, Arizona or California. Now, Arizona gets a good hit against us. And like I said, California's thick hips do protect it a lot. You're going to take those big hits, but you're not going to take citadels all that often in California. Unless somebody knows to go through the front cheek or the rear cheek while you're kind of over-angled going towards them. But as you can see, Fuso is very low health. We're going to try to get rid of the man because we need him gone, right? We need to get rid of as many people as possible because, oh my God, why am I cursed? Why do I always have to leave everybody alive? But you can see we can effectively angle against the Arizona because one thing that neither of us have is guns that overmatch any battleships at the tier. Arizona has 14-inch guns. California has 14-inch guns. Now, Arizona takes a torpedo on the snoot because he's trying to angle against us. Now, we go ahead and shoot superstructure here because, again, he's angled. We know that he's got an absurd armor belt. We don't want to fall for that. And then we get the worst RNG on the planet, only managed to hit a couple of shells, and none of them did damage except for maybe one overpin. It's real unfortunate. He takes a shot at us. He gets a little bit more damage because he shoots a much larger superstructure. Remember, we have a large superstructure full of AA all over the place, whereas Arizona has a tripod-style mast. But unfortunately for Arizona, he is just Yeet City once again. Didn't quite get what we wanted, but oh, look! Another West Virginia! Why don't you show us what happens when you go full broadside? I'm not going to lie, we're going to get some terrible RNG against this West Virginia. The West Virginia doesn't really have armor, per se. She has a little bit of a belt armor, but it's kind of a ruse. You kind of have to use the armor actively. Kind of like the Arizona, but you can get away with a lot more in the Arizona than you can in West Virginia. But the one thing that the West Virginia does have in its favor is 16-inch guns. You don't need 16-inch guns to overmatch, but if you got them, guess what? You do overmatch. Whereas my 14-inch guns do not. And good God, I swear my guns are firing at a freaking postal code rather than the ship that I'm aiming at. I don't understand why they're so inaccurate. But you can see Graf Spee is still back there, still alive, still being annoying. Potentially. But Monahan spawns right in front of us, and we're like, oh, okay, well, everybody should shoot the Monahan. Right, guys? I have two destroyers off to my right. They are really concerned with trying to torpedo badly the West Virginia, who already goes full broadside once again in front of our California, and this I thought was a kill. I'm not going to lie. I just got robbed. How that man gets away with that turn against the California is beyond me. Other than RNGesus just saying, go f*** yourself. That should have been a second death strike on a West Virginia in this episode. But, alas, that was not the case. So we have to go back to doing what we got to do. Now I've got to worry about not only the West Virginia, but the fact that there's Monahan close by. Right? You can see I'm asking for my destroyers to come be a little bit more helpful than just sitting around doing circles in the backfield, throwing torpedoes every once in a while. Now we shoot at the superstructure of the West Virginia once again because we do not overmatch. Now I know a lot of you guys are probably going, well, Spartan, why don't you load up AG? But you can see he hits us, destroys one of our turrets, because of course he does. I get the worst RNG on the planet, and I also get the worst turrets on in the world when it comes to turret hit points. But he goes straight through the bow, utilizing that beautiful overmatching that he has. We go through the cheek, and once again get denied a Citadel on a West Virginia. Like, this is unheard of. There is no way that a West Virginia should be surviving this much while being this broadside to any battleship, let alone a California. But then the Monahan decides, after the West Virginia gets one last shot to absolutely obliterate us through the bow, Monahan decides to get himself spotted. He is now dead to rights, but surely he wouldn't have stuck around if he didn't think he'd get his torpedoes back, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to turn in and we're going to slow down. Why? Because we baited him into launching his torpedoes, and now we get to make him look stupid. It never gets old, folks. Watching a destroyer fail to hit a battleship that is the size of freaking California itself from 3 kilometers will never, get old. But as Monahan puts his head between his legs and kisses his butt goodbye, we do manage to take him out. We've got 108,000 damage, we've got 3 kills, we've got 2 assist medals, and we are capturing a base. We have effectively traded our hit points to the best of our ability to give our team the best possible chance to win. There is only one ship left, and that is the Graf Spee. Now, you might be looking back over your shoulder and going, there's a California back there that is basically full health. What has he been doing the entire time? The answer is, I have no idea. He could have killed the Graf Spee at any point, but they decided to leave over there. Why you run away from a Graf Spee in a California is beyond me. I came back to fight the rest of the enemy team. I don't know what he's been doing, but we're not out here to disparage anybody. We're just pointing out things that we notice in the moment. But I have 2,500 hit points left. A single shot from that Graf Spee could easily take me down. I'd rather not have that happen. So if they can spot him and I get a chance to shoot him first, that would be ideal. But unfortunately for me, by the time they do get him spotted, there is a California that is much closer than me, and so if we fire around the same time, his shells will almost certainly get to the guy first. And unfortunately, the Graf Spee has put himself in a position that I can't even shoot, even if I could get a shot off. But the good news is, our California buddy over here is going to get a shot off, and he's going to send that little Graf Spee home to the Rhineland real soon. So we take a shot over the island, hoping for the best. Again, miss all the shots you don't take. Probably not going to get much of anything. And as our shells would have gotten there, the friendly Californius gets there first. So well done to the team fighting around there. Not so well done to the 2 destroyers doing circles in the backfield while I'm trying to like fend off everybody. But we did what we had to do. 2,691 base XP, 3 kills, top the leaderboard. Now it's time to show the Arizona. Now, the Arizona is going to be put up against a lot worse odds. We are bottom tier against tier 6 ships, including multiple tier 6 battleships, a couple of tier 6 cruisers, or at least one tier 6 cruiser, and an aircraft carrier. This is worst case scenario, right? Like, when you think about all the things that could go wrong for a tier 5 battleship with no AA, you get put in a tier 6 lobby and have a carrier. Not ideal. But this is why I think the Arizona is the better of the two. And I think that anybody who's gotten relatively good at the game, I'm not saying you got to be an absolute all-star to play Arizona. It really isn't. But Arizona has a slightly slower reload speed, has slightly worse turning turrets than the California, hence the reason we use the turret traverse thing instead of AA, but also because we don't have any AA, so it doesn't make any sense to buff it. But we use that turret traverse in the first slot to allow us to get the turrets to traverse a little bit faster. And the other reason we do that is because we do the Dreadnought Shuffle a lot. Now, California, you can kind of get away with not being quite as good at the Dreadnought Shuffle. She's thick. She doesn't tend to get citadeled. Arizona, if you get caught over-angled, you can be citadeled pretty easily. However, Arizona's got a trick up her sleeves. Arizona has some extremely good firing angles off the rear turrets, something that California doesn't have because California has a much larger superstructure. And oh goody, one of the tier 6 battleships that spawned on my side. Yay! Let's go ahead and test out some of his armor here. I'm going to get spotted, so at this point, no sense in hiding. Fire the guns, get this party started, and immediately take action to start doing the Dreadnought Shuffle, right? When I mean Dreadnought Shuffle, now obviously firing at a Synop who's going to angle against us, we're not going to get much. There's no farming the superstructure there. It is simply trying to take what they give you, right? And even potentially contemplating going for HE if you have to. But we do have a destroyer out here. That destroyer could potentially force the Synop to turn at some point. Synop takes a shot at us, and we go ahead and turn to angle, and we do a pretty good job of mitigating the damage. That is the strength of the Arizona. Alright? Get good at the Dreadnought Shuffle, and you will absolutely fall in love with the carry patrol. Oh my god! There's an enemy Getty here. That is not ideal. We must take out the Gade. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, you may have noticed that we have a pretty solid division in our team as well from the fleet, right? I believe it's a Warfare at Sea fleet of some sort. But Getty gets spotted. We're going to go ahead and take a shot at him as he goes dark. He's going to get absolutely smashed with 5 overpins. Now, that is something like 11,000 damage, so 1,100 damage apiece. 5, you're talking close to 10 or 11,000 damage potentially with that salvo. So that Gade has no health left. None. And the Synop managed to take some torpedoes from my teammates as well. Meaning that he is now in a world of hurt. He has to make some tough choices. Now, I know that I hit that guy with 5 shells and left the Gade alive with very little hit points. My teammates don't know that. All they know is that I took a shot. They have no idea how hard I hit him. We're not in chat talking, and even if I was in chat talking, there's no guarantee they'd hear me because they're in a division themselves. So they're probably using party chat. So, it just comes down to doing the best you can to negate damage, avoid torpedoes until our teammates re-engage and are able to finish them off. Now there, Synop takes a shot going for the belt, or going for the bow. He knows the overmatches, and we have no choice but to shoot for superstructure and look at the rail guns. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier in the fight was that Arizona has 45 caliber guns, whereas California has 50 caliber guns. Why is this such an advantage for Arizona? We've talked about it multiple times through the years that 50 caliber guns seem to perform not quite as well as the 45 caliber guns in the game for one reason, and that is over-penetrations. Over-penetrations are when a shell fails to arm inside the ship and instead goes through one side of the ship and out the other before it then explodes. With a 45 caliber gun, the shells are moving a little bit slower. Doesn't seem like a lot of a difference between a 45 caliber and a 50 caliber gun, and it's not really a big difference in reality. But in the game, it's just enough to go from being an overpin to being a full pin, or potentially, instead of overpinning a Citadel, getting the Citadel hit. And that is where the 45 caliber guns come into their own. Whether it's the Sodax or the Arizona, the 45 caliber guns seem to just be able to score those Citadel hits, especially on cruisers and lightly armored ships, a little bit better than, say, the 50 caliber ships. Both are fully capable of sending anybody at any time to the Shadow Realm with a well-aimed shot. However, the Arizona, for me, just has the better carry potential. It's not really any faster. It doesn't really turn any quicker than the California, so from a maneuverability and agility standpoint, they're basically identical. They both have 12 guns. They're both 14-inch guns, so neither of them overmatch. So on paper, they're pretty equal. The California has better belt armor because it has that ridiculous torpedo protection that was added, right? Has slightly more accurate guns and a slightly faster reload. But where this ship comes into its own is it's got better firing angles, meaning you don't have to open up the edge or open up the angle quite as much, and it has a much better upper side angle as well, allowing you to, especially at close range, really bait people into taking those shots at your Citadel. Speaking of Citadels, look at that shot on the Yuga. Remember when we shot the Fuso in the last match with California? About the same distance apart, but we managed to double Citadel and send the Yuga to the Shadow Realm. That is the difference between a 45 caliber gun and a 50 caliber gun. 50 caliber tends to end up being more over penetrations, whereas the 45 caliber guns tend to get the Citadels more often. I don't make the rules. These are just things that I notice in my time playing the game, right? A lot of times your Iowa-class battleships aren't the things citadeling everything, right? As we pick up another Citadel on a can't get any more lightly armored than an Atlanta. It is literally a destroyer with a Citadel. That is what an Atlanta is. But just to make sure that everybody is aware that the Arizona exists in this lobby, not only did we just dev strike the Yuga, Citadel and kill the Atlanta, we take a shot over the island on the Ranger and Citadel him and send him to the Shadow Realm as well. So in 3 salvos, we kill 3 different ships all with citadels. Do you see what I'm saying? And then on top of that, we went toe-to-toe with a battleship that overmatches us in the Synop, and we managed to very much negate all of the damage we were taking from them. Now, here is where we're going to struggle. Colorado also has 16-inch guns. Colorado is a super dreadnought. Now, I have no trouble penetrating a Colorado most of the time. We should be able to get some good damage, but this is not just any Colorado. This is going to be the most accurate Colorado you have ever seen in your entire life, and he's at a range where his 45 caliber, remember that, 45 caliber, 16-inch guns can get plunging fire, meaning my belt armor means absolutely diddly squat, as he puts up almost 10,000 damage with that shot. Did you see those shells? They were touching! I wish my freaking Colorado had that kind of accuracy. Oh, hello, Nevada. How you doing, sunshine? Well, let's just reach out and say hello, and oh my god. Now, this looks like horrendous dispersion, and it is, but it was a lot of horizontal dispersion, meaning if the guy hadn't turned away, there's a good chance that we score multiple good hits on his broadside, right? But he did turn away. And here's what I'm talking about with the most accurate Colorado you've ever seen in your life. Man is on the backside of an island at range, scoring multiple penetrations on a bow-in battleship. Like, really? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. As if my RNG couldn't have gotten any worse, I expected this Pensacola to die here. That looks pretty solid. But no, we only get 2 overpins out of that entire salvo. Like, are you joking? It's a Pensacola, man. I don't understand it. I freaking destroy an Atlanta, but a Pensacola is just too much, right? Somebody didn't overpin him. Somebody slapped the out of him. But as we look at him again, we're like, okay, well, we're about to be loaded. Surely I can't screw this up, right? So we give him 2 guns just to make sure, and then we have the other gun ready to shoot the Colorado potentially if we get a chance. As the Pensacola goes down, the Colorado is the only one left, and unfortunately he is going to hide behind the island, leaving us with just the piddly 94,000 damage with 4 kills and 4 citadels and an assist capture, and we even shot 4 planes down.
Good show.
So that brings us to the end and what I think. Who do I think is better, the Arizona or the California? Both are fantastic ships, and both benefit similar playstyles. But I feel the better the battleship captain is, especially in slow dreadnoughts, so if you like dreadnoughts like I do, and you're used to playing them a lot, then I think you're probably going to enjoy the Arizona more for its depth strike potential because of those slower shells getting citadels more often, and also for its amazing armor belt. Yes, you have to give up a little bit of reload, but the guns are just so much nicer to have from a battleship make things go boom perspective, right? This is why the Arizona, to this day, remains one of the few tier 5s that I've ever broken a 200,000 damage game in. So, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I personally, again, say that the Arizona is my personal favorite of the 2. But I'm open to hear what you guys have to say as well. Let me know down in the comments below, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.